Coming to you live on one of ICN Impact broadcast platform. Today I'm coming from Be Live TV, and I want to say thank you for allowing me into your homes this morning. And the message I'll be bringing to you today will be coming from the book of Second Samuel. I've spoke about this message before. In fact, this was one of the very first message that I spoke about in the ICN. I mean, when it was then Impact Radio, and that. But I've gotten. I think because I've played the old video again, people have asked me to explain a little more. A little more. So I would go about it again. And this is a story between David and Saul. It's a story between David and Saul. Saul has David has now Saul is now king, and the Bible tells us that the Philistines have come to challenge the children of Israel. Let me just giving you the backstory of this. David has gone to visit his brethren who serve in the military, and while he was there, he heard the Philistine abusing or cursing or challenging the children of Israel, and they were not responding. The Bible talk about how the kind of structure this guy was, who he was, the one who was doing the challenging called Goliath. Now, I would just read a little part from chapter 17, verse 1 to about 3 or so, and then we will jump to verse 31 because that was the conversation between David and Saul. But I'm just trying to introduce to you the person that David was going to fight. The reason why Saul was shaking in his boots and he couldn't even go to challenge this guy who threw the challenge to him. Let me see if I can share that screen. Yeah, can it? Yes, we can. Now, from chapter 17, verse 1 says, good morning, Pastor Reed. I see people are joining on the line. I want to say thank you. I appreciate you coming up to watch the show. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your coming up, waking up this early morning to join me. Now the Philistines gathered their armies of battle, and they were gathered at Socoh, which belonged to Judah, and they camped between Socoh and Isaacar in Ephidamin. Let me go to the next verse. It says, Saul and the men of Israel were gathered there, and they camped in the valley of Eli, and drew up in battle array to encounter the Philistines. The Philistines stood on the mountain on one side, while Israel stood on the mountain on the other side, with the valley between them. I'm reading from the New American Standard Bible. That is what I like reading from most of the time. Then the champion came out from the armies of the Philistines, named Goliath, from Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and expanded. All right. Let me just continue. He had a bronze helmet on his head, and he was clothed with scale armor, which weighed 5,000 shekels of bronze. He also had bronze greaves on his legs and a bronze javelin slung between his shoulders. The shaft of his spear was like a weaving's beam, and the head of his spear weighed 600 shekels of iron. His shield carrier also walked before him. And I will stop there, and then I'm going to jump all the way to 31 because that is the conversation between David and Saul. That is what I'm really focusing on today. It says in 31, it says, when the word which David spoke were heard, they told them to Saul, and he sent for him. Now David have heard this Palestine challenging the children of Israel, and they were not responding. And in fact, the words were saying were blasphemy, and it was annoying to David. He was very upset that such person could even say such a word to God, and I mean to be such a word about God, and his people, his soldiers, will not respond to it. It was offensive to David, and so he was responding, and his brothers got angry with him and said, we know your arrogance. You've come here so that you can just come and show off. You like showing off. And David said, but what have I done? Is there not a cause? And the words and the things that David said was to Saul. Saul sent for him. That's where we are now. Next verse. David said to Saul, let no man's heart fail on account of him. Your servant will go and fight with this Philistine. Then Saul said to David, you are not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for you are but a youth, while he has been a warrior from his youth. But David said to Saul, your servant was tending his father's sheep when the lion or a bear came and took a lamb from the flock. I went out after him and attacked him and rescued it from his mouth. And when he rose up against me, I seized him by the beard and struck him and killed him. Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them. Hence, he has tainted the army of the living God. And David said, the Lord will deliver me from the paw of the lion and from the paw of the bear. He will deliver me from the hands of this Philistine. And Saul said to David, go, and may the Lord be with you. I will end it there for now, and then we can go into the scripture. So let me bring the story. Let me paint a picture of this story. David have gone to visit his brothers who were in the army, like I said before, and he heard the Philistine Goliath challenging the army of Israel. They were not responding to it. The conversation was offensive to David. In his anger, based on what the Philistine was saying, he decided to respond verbally. Now, in his verbal attack, some of the soldiers realized that David was showing some kind of a courage. And so the word was told Saul, who was then the king at this time. Saul called for David. When David came, this is where the whole story starts. I want to bring you the reason why most of us don't get the whole story about this conversation. In Israel, every Israeli child or Israeli male always carry with them a staff. David said, their rod and thy staff, they comfort me. In the 23rd Psalms, what he was saying is that the rod or the staff, what each male carry with them, it was their protector. It was, let me paint this story for you. It was I would call it the first tablet or iPad ever invented. You know why? Because every man who carried a staff, on their staff was their record. Every staff that was carried by a Jew or the children of Israel, they had writings on them. That was their story. That is how they kept their records of their family. Now, David was carrying this staff with him, or he was holding a staff with him, because there were certain things on this staff that David had that the people saw, and Saul may have saw, because there was a conversation happening between David and Saul. David have just told Saul, I'm going to kill this Philistine. In fact, one of the covenant between the children of Israel and God was that every male will be circumcised, the removing of the foreskin around the male genitals. And that was a covenant between the children of Israel. Other tribes were not doing it. And so they always felt that other tribes were not doing it. They were a lesser human being. They are not confident people. So he used that as an insult. This was some of the insult children of Israel gave to people who were not Jews. Now, David have a staff whenever a male is having his staff. Whenever he gave birth to a child, he will mark the date on the staff. Whenever something great happened in their life, maybe he bought a new land, he will mark the date. The staff was a point of record for them. In fact, they pride in it, because when someone see your staff and he see what is on the staff for them, it tells the person what the other person have achieved. Now, this was then. This was how the children of Israel kept some of their records for their personal lives. This was called like a talisman, like an iPad, like a record book. This was why almost every male had a staff. And in fact, one of the things they used this staff for was when the children, there were three festivals that the children of Israel will have to, every male will have to show himself to the house of God. I think the festivals of the Passover, the festivals of the Tabernacle, and the festival of unleavened bread. Those three festivals, the Jews made, every Jew male will have to present themselves to the temple. Now, because most of them live in the outskirts of Jerusalem, when they are coming, they were haunted by thieves, they were haunted by criminals, sometimes by wild animals. That was what happened to the person who got harmed, and then Jesus told a story about a good Samaritan. One of the person was armed, was attacked by the armed robbers, and then the priest passed, and everybody passed, but the good Samaritan came. That's also where this story came from. They were coming to Jerusalem, so they all carried this staff. This staff was used, and at the end of the staff, they put certain bells. What that bell did was that whenever they hit it on the ground when they're walking, and they hit the staff on the ground, you could hear the bell. It scared out little animals from attacking them. People knew, and most of the time they walk in group, and so they were protected. They came together in group. So almost every male had a staff. It was the point of protection. It was they used to protect themselves for fighting, but they also kept their records on it. If you just got married, he will put the record on the staff. If you just got have a new baby, he will put the record on the staff. If you build a new house or add an attachment to his father's house, he will put the record on the staff. Now, because David have killed a lion and a bear, apparently David would take the claws or the paw of this lion, cut it off, tie a rope on it, and hang it on his staff. That was his achievement. He may have even been wearing the coat of the lion to skin it, or the bear, skin it and put it on. That was his coat. That shows that he did kill a lion, kill a bear, and he skinned it. And so David had testimony with him. He had things on this staff that when Saul, because look, David was just a young boy. There was no way, he was around maybe 16, 17 years or so, based on biblical history. If there was no way, and I stand to be corrected, maybe the age may be a little wrong, but I'm sure that was where he was, based on what we know so far. David, there is no way David, who has never fought in a war before, who was not part of the military, who will come to speak to a king and tell the king that I can go and kill this Philistine. And the king will say, hey, he will put the whole hands of this nation into the hand of David. Because one of the rules the Philistine put down was that If I kill your man, you will become our slaves. If your man kill me, we will become your slaves. So this was nation against nation. The hands of the whole nation was in the hand of whoever was fighting. So that was why Saul would not answer to the challenge, because he never found anyone who he felt was capable enough to kill this Philistine. So in David's conversation with him, he kept telling him that I can kill this guy. I've killed a bear. I've killed a lion. This guy will be like one of them. But the Bible did not explain this, but biblical history will tell us, Josephus will tell us the more about Joseph, one of the greatest Hebrew writers, will tell us about the importance of the staff or the of the Jews. Now, to prove this story to you, let me give you an example into the Bible. I think it's in the book of Leviticus. I don't want to go to that scripture. I will not read the scripture. I'll just give you a story of the scripture. If my producer is able to put up the scripture, we'll put it up. It was when the children of Israel, when Moses was the leader of the children of Israel. Now he appointed his brother Aaron to be a high priest. Some of the tribes came to him to challenge that right, that you are the high priest. I mean, you are the leader. How come you make your brother to high priest? We too, we can speak. We too, we know how to do this job. So why is your brother the high priest? We also have that right. Well, the story was told to Moses, and Moses said, well, you know what, let me send this matter to God, and let God be the one to judge about it, because he was the one who told me to tell my brother to be king. I mean, to be the high priest. So when Moses went and told the story to God, God said, okay, I want every one of those people who are challenging Aaron to bring me something that I can judge them by. He said, bring me your staff. You know why he asked for the staff? Because on each of them staff, they have written their life history on their staff. This was the first time God took a background check. This was the first time a background check was performed. You see, so background check is not a new thing. When you want to go for a job, they do a background check before you. You want to go and become president, do a background check. You want to do something, they give you a background check. Background check was happening long before. God said, okay, fine. I want everybody to bring me their staff. Put it in the holiest of holies. By tomorrow morning, I will go in there, do a background check, and the one who passes the background check, him will I call to be high priest. And it was a fair play. It was a fair play. God took their staff. When they all presented their staff to the holiest of holies, in the morning, the Bible said only the staff of Aaron has grown flowers. Actually, was an answer, which means his role was that of an armor. It was cut from a tree of an armor. Mostly they use some of the strongest trees to cut the staff. And almond trees, if you ever know what almond trees are, they are very, for where I come from in Africa, they are very, very strong trees. I mean, some of them you just can't break a branch with your hand. You have to cut it, and not a blunt cutlass or machete is not going to cut it. So they cut it from. It was from an almond tree. So the Bible said it grew almond. It blossomed. It became flower. And in fact, and these sticks, they were cut from the tree, which means it was now a dead stick. It was just a stick now. It was just a piece of branch. But the Bible said it grew almond. It grew flowers, like what it usually brings. It would bring it would bring leaves first. Then it will bring flowers. Then it bring almond. Only Aaron will pass. So which means only Aaron passed the background check. This what has happened between David and Saul here. When Saul saw the staff of David, when he saw what David was carrying, and he saw his testimony on the sword, and he saw his records on this staff, he said, "You're right. I can't challenge this. I can't beat this, because really what you're saying is true. You have been you fought a bear. You have proof. You either have the paws or the claws of him, or you have take the head, skin up, put the head on as a coat, or and the bear. You either have certain part of the bear. These were all hanging on a stick. So when they are coming, it's their record. It is their achievement, and they come walking in town with it. And people can see what they have achieved. So David showed this to Saul, and this convinced Saul that, okay, you can go and do this. This is the purpose of this story. This is what happened between Saul. I'm bringing you the biblical story behind the story. I'm bringing you behind the scene. Most of the things the Bible wrote, they will not go through the process of explaining all of this. But if you read biblical history, if you know what biblical history is, you will realize that these are some of the things. Because remember, this book was written to the Jews. And so every Jews will understand this. This is not a strange story to the Jews. They knew what every male carried a staff, and they put the records of their life on their staff. So in fact, this is their whole life. This is their book of records on their life. This is their how do you call it, the story about their life. And so Saul now understood the purpose of why David had to go and do what David had to go and do. Now, when Saul clothed him with his armor, with his spirit, and David said, "I can't wear this. It won't fit on me. It's too heavy for me." In fact, he have never fought. He have never tested it before. He don't know how well he can fight in it. All he's been able to fight in was what he was wearing, the scarf. I mean, what he was wearing, and his sling, which he was an expert slinger. Because David was a shepherd. And in those days, when you take your sheep from your home to the wilderness to go and protect it, you will get attacked by wild animals. You get attacked by criminals. You get attacked by other shepherds. You get attacked by bandits, by pirates. And so you have to be an excellent protector of your sheep. And here it said the whole family, their livelihood was left in the hands of David. Why? Because they realized that he was a capable shepherd. He could protect the sheep without any problem. And that is why he said, when a lion came after the sheep and a bear, I killed it. In fact, when they took the lion, when they took a lamb, one of the baby sheep, I attacked it. And when it came after me, I grabbed him by his beard and smote him, which means I told him that I was in charge, probably cut off the head of this lion, of this bear. But this is a young man. This is a very young man, so powerful, so strong, so articulate. Why? Because the sling is like a bullet. You fight with it from a distance. It is not hand-to-hand combat. It is not punch, punch, punch. No, this is not hand-to-hand combat. A sling is fought from at least about a quarter of a mile. And believe me, there were people in the military during those days, especially in children of Israel, who were excellent slingers. Excellent slingers. They were very good at throwing slings. They wouldn't miss. They were well trained for that. And it seems like David has become an expert slinger. And so the conversation between David and Saul was based on this whole story, that the role of a shepherd is very important. It is his protector. It is what protects him when he's coming to the city. It is what protects him from foes. It is what protects him from his enemy. And it's also what protects his family from any outside intruder. So every Hebrew or every Jew rod was important to them. So David showing his rod to Saul, grant him the authority for Saul to tell him, all right, now you can go and fight this Philistine. Saul was now putting the whole life, every life of every Israelite or every Jew into the hands of David because of David's testimony of the explanation he gave to Saul about what he did with a bear and a lion, because there was no way if David did not have any proof with him, he wouldn't have just come and say, oh, I killed a bear and a lion. Saul would say, oh yeah, go ahead, go kill this Philistine. No, it wasn't like that. David have to show proof, he have to show evidence, and so the rod did that. This is all the time we have for today. And if you have any questions and you want us to answer, please do. Put a conversation in the chat, and we will respond to you. It has been an honor with you today. But before I go, there is a few things I would like to show to you today. ICN on the 31st of this month will be launching our new app. The app has just, let me share this platform with you. You see the platform beside me here. This is the ICN platform. We are now broadcasting on 9 different platforms. By God's grace, this platform has now grew to 11. 11 from 9 to 11 platforms. You know why? Because 2 other platforms we haven't put up here yet. This platform is Amazon and Roku TV. Yes, by God's grace, ICN is now on Roku TV. ICN Impact, excuse me. ICN Impact TV is now on Roku TV and on Amazon TV. We want to say you can now join us live on all of this platform. It's our TV platform, the radio. We are on Facebook. We are on YouTube. We are on Twitter. We're on the website. We're on Instagram. We're on ICN Impact Live. We are on Zoom. And we are on Praise for the Impact. Those are the platforms that we broadcast on. And I want to say thank you for being with us all these years. I want to say we are grateful for our sponsors. You see on the scroller down just below me here. This text you see down here, these are our sponsors who are sponsoring some of our sponsors. And we also want to say thank you to Life World Jesus Kingdom Ministry, Pastor Dr. Afrida Bradford. She has been one of our sponsors throughout the years. In fact, she has given us the opportunity to really show what we can do during the time of the year. We were able to host Bishop Noel Jones on this platform, and also to Dr. Jolly Bishop Joanita Jolly from Sankofa Ministry. She's also has been with ICN Radio, Impact Radio, for almost 2 years. Yeah, she's been with the radio for almost 2 years, and I want to say a special thanks to her for that too. And so please join us. We'll be coming live on the radio, and can I have the book? And tomorrow, one more thing tomorrow, I have a book here with me. If I can show this book. Yes. This book is going to be launched tomorrow on ICN platform. My Trip to the Farm is by one of the pastor on, one of the lady on the platform right now, Miss Pat Reed. She just joined the platform. Miss Pat, thank you. This is her book. We will be. This is the back. This is the back of it, and this is the front of the book. And we will be having this book launch. It's a virtual launch on ICN Impact Network tomorrow at 1 p.m. My producer is telling me it's at 1 p.m. It's on Facebook Live. On Facebook Live, we will be broadcasting, we will be launching this book. And Ms. Pat, we want to say it's one of the great achievements of ICN2. This book will also be on our website for all those who have books, like Dr. Afrida, by Bishop Jolly, who have books. If you have a book, you want us to launch it for you. Look, we are now broadcasting in 120 countries, 7 continents. We are also in 20 million. We now have 20 million viewers worldwide. 20 million people will be listening to you, reading your book, listening to your message from our ICN platform. All of this wouldn't have been possible without you. We want to say thank you for giving us the opportunity to be in your home. If you want to sow a seed to this ministry, please do. The cash app, I think, is on our scroller, is ICN Impact Network. It's ICN Network, and also on Zoom. I mean, on Venom is ICN. Venom is ICN Network, or Venmo, sorry, is ICN Impact Network, and our cash app is also there, or PayPal, ICN Networks. It has been a pleasure with you today. I'm grateful for giving me the opportunity. Thank you, and all our sponsors you see on the school of text, that CAPS, Concerned Parent Advocate. We want to say thank you for being with us. We also El Shaddai Beauty Product, Pastor Prophet Derek and Pastor Esther. We want to say thank you for also being a sponsor for ICN Network. Yeah. And Minister Nana from Lord I Can Home Care. Lord I Can Home Care. She's also one of our sponsors who has been on ICN Network. We want to say thank you to all of you. If it has not been for you people, we wouldn't have been here today. And it is our way of also committing to the Great Commission through media. So thank you. God bless you. And please join us again.